Epstein's properties were wired with hidden pinhole cameras. The Department of Justice found compact discs locked in his New York mansion safe with handwritten labels, young name plus name. Having this level of blackmail material makes Epstein an obvious target.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres Herrera, and you are watching or hearing the JTH show. Today, we're going to talk about who else is tied to Jeffrey Epstein. But first, roll that intro. All right. I got to get better at saying watching or hearing this show. Or listening. There we go. Because I shared this in a previous video, but I'll do it one more time. Thank you very much to everybody supporting the show. Because of you guys, we are now available in major podcast platforms such as Spotify or iTunes. So if you guys are interested in hearing the show, I invite all of you guys to just go hear it there, and you don't have to see my stupid face. You just have to hear my stupid voice. But yeah, I mean, it's a great feeling, guys. It really is to be approved, to be on those big platforms. So I'm gonna get better at saying that because people hearing the podcast is like, I'm not watching you. Can only see you. But yeah. So anyways, today let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein. Now I've been very hesitant to do this show about Jeffrey because, there is a lot of conspiracies around Jeffrey, and everything that involves Jeffrey. And that's kind of what got me into this, right? Is, well, fine. But who else is tied to this guy? Because the way I look at it, right, is everything, all the atrocious, disgusting things he did, in my opinion, no, he didn't do it by himself, especially for as long as he did, and everything he got away with. And then, of course, I came across on Netflix the special they did on him, right? And I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's go rabbit hole. Let's go into this. And I binge watched all of the episodes because I'm like, I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna make my notes, like I always do. And then if I'm gonna do a show, I'm gonna deliver, bite size of what the Netflix special was, and if you haven't watched it, it's good actually. It's informative. I shouldn't say it's good. It's informative. And I'm like, all right, but if those that are not going to watch it or didn't watch it, here's my points of views. But I'm also going to go even deeper and start seeing who else is tied, because what this guy did, again, what he was able to accomplish over so many decades, it wasn't something he was quiet about. First of all. And he got away with it blatantly, just on the open, and we'll get into it. But first, for those of you guys that don't know who the hell this guy really is, I'm going to put in one bullet point. He was a single guy, very wealthy, from New York. All right. He allegedly worked as a hedge fund manager. That really sums him up. As far as like his public persona, even the person that did or tried to at least do a big spread on him on Vanity Fair, which the Netflix special also touches on, was like, dude, they're like, other than he's a socialite, there wasn't anything about this guy out there. He was rich. Everybody kind of knew who he was, but didn't know anything about him, which was interesting, right? But because the guy, again, was able to orchestrate a very good, low-key, circus act, that was private to individuals and people that we're going to talk about today. Or at least people are pushing and tying him to that. Okay, so he was an expert predator, right? He knew how to target young, vulnerable girls who came from very broken homes. So he knew, with the assistance of a woman, her name is Ghislaine Maxwell, they knew how to target, find girls that had aspirations to do something with their lives, that maybe, were from poor families, that definitely, couldn't achieve what they wanted to achieve on their family salary, or let alone some of them didn't even have a real family, and they knew how to bring them in. Now, when they were doing when they were at their peak, I should say, of this whole thing, they were at that point very rich, so they knew how to impress these girls very quickly. Now, this goes all the way back to the 80s, and in the 80s, by the way, when they would give some of these girls $200, you have to understand that if today $200 is still a considerable amount, in the 80s, $200 is like, holy crap, right? Someone I saw said that it would probably be the equivalent of like $500 to $600 today, right? That's how much. And to some people that were making back then $4 something an hour, hell, it was even more than that. So this whole thing for Mr. Epstein broke his ass down, and it started back when they did a spread, or they tried to do a spread on Vanity Fair. At the time, they didn't know too much about him, so this reporter really started going at him, right, and finding out, trying to get connections, trying to get people to talk. Somebody told her, you should go talk to the Farmer sisters. Now, the funny thing about Jeffrey is that he was well connected to someone that is still alive today, and that apparently hasn't gotten too much negative publicity. I mean, some people have tried to press this guy, but he, for the most part, it's like, distanced himself, saying he had a fallout. No, I'm not talking about the president. You're like, you're talking about Trump. No, I'm actually not. I'm actually talking about a guy by the name of Leslie Les, or some people call him Les Wexner. And if you're not familiar who Les Wexner is, he is essentially the owner of a company called L Brands. And L Brands actually owns Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, among other big companies. So this guy, Les, has money. Plenty of it. And has had it for many, many years. The guy in and of itself has a story of like coming from rags to riches, got a small loan, made this big company, and then brought out other companies and brands and blah, 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 blah. But here are some funny things about Mr. Wexner. He gave Epstein at one point power of attorney. He was the only one to give Epstein power of attorney. He was, Epstein was Wexner's, money investor guy. Like, he handled his finances. It's like, dude, you make this gigantic, enormous company and all this money, and you need someone like Jeffrey, who many say, by the way, Jeffrey was actually in a very crappy, sleazy way, but he was smart. He was very smart, very witty. He knew how to respond to things and do, how to move around. I mean, when you're a scumbag, you have to kind of know that, right? I mean, even then, even with all the talent he had, Wexner, being who he is to this day, it's like, no, I need you to be my money handler. In fact, you're going to get power of attorney. And for those of you guys in the U.S., power of attorney is a pretty big deal. That's not something you just give out when you're anybody, let alone someone that's a billionaire. Okay. So there are some rumors that Wexner was in love with Epstein. Now, Wexner, from what I understand, he has a wife and everything, and he denies all these allegations, but Wexner gave Manhattan, or it's located in New York for sure, but I'm not sure if it's exactly in Manhattan, but it's in a very pristine area of New York City. He gave him this gigantic condo, for like $1, but it's worth millions. Right? So there's all this like weird crap that happened between those two for years. In fact, going back to the Farmer sisters, where a lot of this starts, one of the sisters actually ended up going to live at the Wexner mansion in the back house under the idea, right, that it was for her to study art, and because she's an artist, by the way, the older sister, she's an artist, and she was going to be sent there in a very majestic area where there's a lot of farmland, and for her to concentrate and focus and blah yada 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 yada. Now, there's a lot of back and forwards about how exactly Epstein was able to get her hands on her, or his dirty, nasty hands on her. But some say that it's because at the time, Maria Farmer was doing an exhibition of her art, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine walked in and essentially bought her art. Right now, the person that was in charge of the exhibition denies that she forced Maria to sell her stuff to Epstein. Maria says it's not true. I already had these sold for twice than what Epstein was willing to pay, but I was forced to sell it to him because he was going to take me to the next level. Well, Epstein does, and by me next level, I mean he took her, he sent her out to this mansion, and then said, "Hey, you have a sister, a younger sister," and of course Epstein also got his disgusting hands on her. Her name is Annie Farmer, and with her, what he did is he sent her overseas to study. Well, I'm not sure exactly what she's going to study, but he persuaded her by saying, "Hey, whatever it is that you want to study, I got it. I'll pay for everything. I'm going to send you overseas," right? And then at the end, what happened? And they detail it in the Netflix special, and it gives you chills, because what he did is essentially when he was around them, he would molest them, right? For instance, with Maria Farmer, she did these paintings of her sisters. Her sisters were basically the models, right? Now, she had two sisters. I don't believe the youngest was involved in any of this, but the middle one for sure was. And, she took pictures of her sisters. When she noticed, one of the first things she noticed that was off was that photos were missing. Now, these photos were of her sisters semi-nude, right? Because they were her models. And she noticed that was really weird. Now, there was other things like Ghislaine and Epstein tried to get in bed with her and massage her, and it was this really weird crap, man. And then with the younger sister as well. Again, all really this weird, disgusting, shitty stuff. Now, what happened, the girls leave, they go back to New York, and they go to the New York police department, which then they're like, it's out of our jurisdiction. I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, I mean, not that I don't think I need to say it, but you'll notice that until the end, when they finally were brought down, all in between, everybody was like, it's not actually us. And what I mean, everybody, law enforcement, it's actually not us. You can't speak to us. Here's a number. Call this person. Here's a number. Call this guy. Oh, wow. Actually, that's actually out of my jurisdiction. So call this person. Of course, right? You're classic passing the buck. So the New York Police Department in this case told the Farmer sisters that didn't even happen here. You were overseas and you were like in another state. In Ohio, I believe it was, where the mansion was. And it was like, so you kind of have to take it off with the FBI. What happens? They go to the FBI. The FBI takes their statement, everything, all the 9 yards. Okay, we got this. Thank you for letting us know. And then nothing happens. For years, nothing happens. Now, they do get involved again once they couldn't ignore it anymore. But it was years later. Okay, so that kind of breaks this whole thing open somewhat, right? But of course, Epstein being who he was, he knew how to get out of it. But at least this put him on the scene. What happens later? In Palm Beach, Florida. So he relocates. Although he still has that penthouse or whatever it is in New York, he has another mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, in the very nice, exclusive area of Palm Beach. And he discovers that, according to the special and people that have, witness accounts, there's unfortunately, a lot of poverty in Palm Beach, in a certain area of Palm Beach, the west side, where there's a lot of broken families, a lot of girls with a lot of problems, that he can easily flaunt $100, $200 for a massage. And girls will be like, well, yeah, either I got to help my family, I got to help myself. And again, even back then, when he was in Palm Beach, Florida, between the years of 2003 and 2006, $200 was still a lot, especially for girls. And if I don't think I mentioned this, he was molesting girls between the ages of 12 to 15, 16 years old. So girls that young, that vulnerable, of course, $200 is like, wow, okay, great, just for a massage. And that's what he did. That's how he brought in girls. He was essentially having one girl bring another and then another. Now, some of these girls do come out on the Netflix special, and they're like, I'm extremely remorseful for what I did. I'm now implicated in this whole thing. Now I'm going to be basically also prosecuted, because I essentially brought girls to Epstein, right? And that's what he did, right? He would have somebody come over and say, hey, here's your money. By the way, do you have any friends that also need help? That's what he would say. I'm helping you. Do you have anyone else that can help? I want to help everybody. And of course, young, innocent girls are like, yeah, actually, I probably do know. So let me go bring my friend. And the girls, by the way, when they would tell each other, like, well, what do I have to do? He just likes massages. He's kind of nasty, right? But he likes massages. Now, what he would do with some of them, and he would pick and choose which ones he would take it further. And what I mean, I don't know, I'm not going to get that descriptive, but further, I mean, you know what I mean, right? Intercourse and stuff like that. He would pick and choose the most quiet ones, the ones that look the most frail, the ones he can intimidate. And by the way, when these acts were happening, he would love to flaunt what he was, kind of like what he was getting massaged, because again, expert predator, right? Oh, did I tell you I'm friends with this person? Ha 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 ha. Did you see my Lamborghini outside? Yeah, I'm friends with the city police. Oh yeah, I gotta hurry up because I'm gonna go down to have dinner with the mayor. Things like that. So of course you're a young innocent person, and you're like, damn, this guy definitely, he lives in a big ass mansion and can just give me $200 for just massaging him, and now he's telling me that he's friends with all these important people. So what happens? They explain how, psychologists say that's how you intimidate someone without outright saying, I'm going to intimidate you, by saying, look at how powerful and how big I am, and I'm bigger than you. And girls would fall into that, obviously, especially the ones that would hunt for him, right? Because that's what they ended up saying. I'm going to read some of my bullet points. So in 2006, Epstein is finally charged with one single count. So while in Palm Beach, he got out of control. Neighbors, all right, which also come out in the Netflix special, they testified that this guy would have parties. And neighbors started saying really young girls, like just come over and really, skimpy dresses. And it's like, we're neighbors, right, that are not perverts are like, this is not okay. What the hell? How old are you? And the police were called multiple times, never found anything. Now, something very interesting is that Epstein gave, it was something crazy, like $100,000 or something to the police in Palm Beach as a donation, because he was so generous. And the police was like, oh, cool, this is for nothing, right? Got it. Oh, you mean when the police gets called to your house, don't send anybody, but send somebody? Wink, wink. And that's what happened. So neighbors who are still apparently in Palm Beach are like, yeah, that's where he used to live, and we used to call the cops, and cops would say, yeah, we came, and they're all over 18 because they told us. And by the way, later on, the victims will say, like, yeah, we were told that if we wanted to be part of the circle or whatever, that we had to say that we were over 18. Well, duh. But of course, you think a police would say something like, hey, you have ID on you or something? No. Now when the big boss is like, hey, you go there, you do your search, you do your thing, and you get the hell out. You don't ask, more than you need to. And that's what happened for years until an investigator who, by the way, passed away. Now, I'm not going to get all conspiratorial and say, oh, they killed him. No, I looked into it. It looks like the individual passed away. He was suffering with some personal stuff, and he died. But this guy got deep, and I mean deep, into trying to find out more than what the the everyday cop was saying that they went and investigated. So he was a detective. He went deep into it, and he ended up finding out that, one, there were some girls from a local high school that were essentially admitting, saying, yeah, he paid me to massage him and to touch him. And the way this happened is he stumbled across a mom who made a call to the police station saying, hey, my daughter just showed up with money, and she's saying basically that she was asked to touch an older man. It was a stepmom. And that's where he got it. That's where he got his first lead. And he didn't get off. He was a good detective, right? There's a whole Wikipedia page on him and everything. And the name, decorated former Palm Beach detective Joseph Ricari. Recarey. Okay. And yeah, he led the whole investigation. It got to the point, guys, where they were able to confiscate things from inside of the home. You're gonna get pissed about this. Unfortunately, it sounded like Epstein was given the heads up that, hey, they're coming for you, because they noticed that when they went in with the search warrant, it's even on film and it's in the documentary. The guy who was there, I guess the guy that was watching over the house, he hears the detective saying, we're here for this, we're here for that. There were areas where a desktop would have been that was gone. Wires hanging, the monitors there, like, again, a computer station, but the desktop was gone. So, the detective at the end concluded, we got some stuff. Every home, by the way, that Jeffrey owned had weird paintings of like kids running naked, like just weird shit that, while some people, and even in modern day today, would say like, well, that's art. I'm sorry, it's still creepy. To this day, when I have seen paintings of like, even like very religious paintings of like naked baby angels, it still freaks me out to this day. It's just like, that's a naked baby there. You can look at, like, hear this audio podcast or watch this video and be like, you're a pervert. That's a baby and it's an angel. To me, it's freaky. I'm sorry if you disagree, but that's what this guy had, except for they were not baby angels. They were like toddlers and younger, preteens that were just dancing naked or something. Just shit like that. It was really weird. And, they got some of that stuff, but again, a lot of that was brushed as like, it's art. You can't judge someone's art preference. Okay, fine. Boom. Put that away. There were some photos, that they found. They were able, again, to charge him. They were able to get it at least to the point where they charged him with one count. And then you're going to get mad again. You're going to be like, no way. What happened? He got away with it. How? Well, Alexander Acosta, former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida, essentially made a deal. And now you might have heard about this one, right? He is actually someone that served in Donald Trump's, the word is escaping me, sorry. Donald Trump's, what? Not the campaign, actually. He was actually part of his staff. He had a position in the administration. Excuse me. There we go. In Donald Trump's administration. Now he resigned. He was pressured and he resigned. But he is the guy that essentially is looked at as has given the most stupid, blatantly like crazy deal to someone that was clearly guilty by saying, okay, we're going to drop all the charges, except for this one. And he had to serve a jail sentence. Now you're like, okay, they got him. No. You're going to get mad again. Hold on. Which, by the way, another bullet point. Acosta's, assistant, Maria Villafana, would send emails about the process of the case to Epstein's lawyers, asking if they wanted to change anything. And it's actually on film. Like, she would send saying, hey, here's what I'm going to present tomorrow to like a judge or something. You want to change anything? To the lawyers of Epstein. On top of that, there is an email where she's like, by the way, here's my personal Gmail. So you don't have to email me at this email. Wink, wink. And it's like, wow, okay. And you're okay, you're part of the prosecution. Okay, awesome. That's great. No, totally not. Under the table deal. Of course not. Which, by the way, to this day, Acosta's like, there was nothing illegal. Everything was perfectly fine. He was like, what about this one? Well, that's her. I don't know anything about Maria and what she was doing. Dude, she was your assistant. What are you talking about? But anyways, okay. So eventually, he's like, okay, we're going to get him. He needs to serve a jail sentence. It was more, I even put it on here like this. It was more like a prison vacation. Let me explain. So it cost him $128,000 because he had to pay for a deputy or a deputy's hours to follow him around. And when I mean follow, I mean quote unquote follow him around. And you're like, what do you mean follow him around? Was he in prison? No. So this guy served prison where he would have to go every day to sleep there, but he would be able to leave 6 days a week to run his business or his corporation errands, attend meetings, go to his office. Of course, he was always being watched, and he was always at strict monitoring. Okay, there are rumors that when he was at the office working, right, during his prison sentence, cars would be, brought in with girls, and they're like, where are they going? To another suite. All right, to another suite. There's even rumors of helicopters landing. Again, very, very open. This is why this case is so infuriating. Because the guy had connections, which we're going to get into, right? How he got away with so much of this. So he had connections, and that's how he was able to get away with a lot of this. Okay. So finally, he finishes his sentence, right? When he finishes his sentence, the very next week, he has this gigantic, big party. This is a big party with celebrities. That included, and I have a picture here of him. If you don't know who he is, I'm going to try to put him on here for you. Actually, I don't have him here. God, the guy's name is Woody. It's not Woody Harrelson. I don't care about his last name, but he's another guy that has also been accused. I think he's a director of molesting women, right? Doesn't stop there. This whole thing keeps going deeper and deeper. But okay, vacation, that's done. He's done with his 13 months. He only did 13 months. That's what I have here. He only did 13 months out of the 18 months because, of course, he was behaving, for good behavior. He was, released early, of course. Okay, so let's move on to Little St. James Island. Okay, so that is another whole other can of worms. He had an island. He bought an island because that's how wealthy this guy was, where they called it the pedo island. Essentially, people working there knew that girls were brought there, and there were everything happened in that island. Anything you can think about, orgies, anything you can think about went down on that island. Notable people, right, in modern history that you probably know very well. People like Bill Clinton, the Prince. There's an account that there's a woman that later on this Prince dude is like, no, that's not true. Like was writing on him. They were dry humping. This is crazy details, which again, he denies. Now there's no problem if you want to have whatever you have with someone, if they're adults, if at least they're considered adults. No, this girl was an adult. Allegedly she was 13 on this 30-something-year-old man. I don't care if you're a prince of wherever you're a prince from. Disgusting. Now, while they say that Clinton, which he denies being there, but there's a witness that says, no, dude, I saw you there. And there's even records. No one really ever saw Clinton with any other, woman or a minor, for that matter, at the island, right? But again, this is a guy, well, you know why Clinton got impeached, right? I mean, come on. The guy had his tendencies, but it just no one knew it went beyond Monica Lewinsky. That's just the thing, right? Okay, so that's Little St. James Island, which later on, by the way, he moved all his money after he was killed. He killed himself. He moved all his assets and everything days before to that region, right, under that government, and put him under his brother. which then opens up more conspiracies. Like days before, he told his lawyer, I want all this moved. Now, the guy was on suicide watch, by the way. So it's not like, maybe he didn't know he was going to die. Or maybe he didn't know he was going to die. Who knows? Okay, so let's talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. If I'm mispronouncing her name, it's because I don't know how to pronounce a name that is Ghislain. I heard it as Ghislaine. So Ghislaine Maxwell. So she's an Oxford-educated woman, very smart, very funny. Many believe that her father, who was also rich, but a con man, essentially showed her the way, right? Recently, a judge has ruled that everything about the case against both of them needs to be unsealed. So previous cases, right? She's implicated in all of this. Some of the people have gone as far as saying that she's like, a Geppetto, and Epstein was just like Pinocchio, right? Where Epstein actually, and even in the documentary, the victims, the survivors have said, yeah, he was an eccentric guy, but he wasn't a guy that flaunted it. He spoke about it a lot, but he was very basic, like a weirdo. Like he would go out with like slippers and nothing that you would think a man with that much wealth would do. Would wear, even he almost looked like secondhand clothes, and was kind of quiet in general when he, when he was out in public. But Ghislaine was the person that was like puppeteering everything. In fact, many people say that anything that she kind of said and ordered, he did. It was like, yes, ma'am, and kind of got it done, right? In fact, one of the victims, a young girl that used to work at none other than at Donald Trump's resort in Florida, said that, hey, when I was working there, Ghislaine came in and basically said, hey, you want to do more than what you're doing now. Essentially gave her an address to the Palm Beach, Florida home of Epstein, and then they met there, and then that's where they took advantage of her. They molested her there. Now she ended up becoming someone that is now found as a co-conspirator because she helped bring in girls from the club and from other places. So yes, she's a victim. Yes, many people see her as someone that survived the Epstein nightmare, but at the same time, she says, I was basically threatened. My life was threatened because Epstein again was very good at making people believe that if you do anything you can think about against me, I can do 10 times worse. To the point where at the end, he would bluntly share photos of where he went and where he dined and who he dined with, which is now we're going to get into the fun parts that for some people are going to be like, okay, the conspiracies. Okay. So yes, my thumbnail, no, it's not clickbait. There are many people that have brought in people or have mentioned rather top current figures as people that possibly were in some type of cahoots with Epstein. People like Elon Musk. People like Jeff Bezos. What's the other guy from Microsoft? Damn it, his name, Bill. Whatever the hell his name is, man. It doesn't really even matter what his name is. The guy from Microsoft, the owner of Microsoft. Sorry if I don't have the names here for you guys right off the top of my head. Woody Allen, by the way. That's the name earlier. The guy, the director, Woody Allen, accused, by the way. Oh, I hear my names. Sorry, guys. I'm being a klutz today. So, people that were looked at to be very close with him, all people accused, by the way. This is actually going to get good. Kevin Spacey has been accused, right? He's been canceled. Harvey Weinstein, Bill Clinton, Trump, Woody Allen. And that's what his name was. That wasn't Charles. I'm so sorry. People are going to be like, Prince Charles is a saint. Not really. We all know about Diana. Never mind. Prince Andrews. That's the guy that I was talking about earlier. Prince Andrews. But yeah, anyways. So all these individuals that, again, many of them have been accused, some of them formally, legally, and some of them just on social media, like Kevin Spacey. But people like Harvey Weinstein, that guy's like a fucking demon, right? You guys have heard about him, right? I'm going to put pictures of all these guys somewhere right now or maybe earlier. Who cares? Go look them up. All these guys accused of doing similar things. Now, not to the I guess, I don't want to even say extent because it was disgusting either way, but not with maybe children like Epstein. But the shit that Harvey Weinstein did, it's crazy. You know, everybody has heard the accusations against Trump, whether you're with him or against him. You've heard them. You've heard Trump admit it, saying, yeah, you grabbed him by the, and you show them who's your daddy kind of thing. Okay. So where am I going with this? That these individuals, right, that right now are almost clear, are basically, a lot of people are saying that they should be nervous. All right. Someone like, look it up real quick. Microsoft CEO, just put it on your thing because that's going to bother me. We'll start with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, there are pictures where Epstein went to a dinner and they're all on the same table. This is way back before Elon Musk was Elon Musk, like back in the PayPal days, way back then. Okay. And you know what PayPal means? The reference, go look at Elon Musk Wikipedia. And, he's out there with all these other rich people because he's trying to come up. Same thing with Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is essentially trying to gather money. It wasn't Amazon that we know today. This happened back like in the early 2000s, right? When Epstein was kind of like trying to clear his name and get back into being a socialite and stuff like that. Bill Gates, that's his name. Right? He what did he do? He went out like every rich person and tried to, rub shoulders with other rich people. And you can say, well, dude, what does that matter, JT? If he was out there with Bill Gates and with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, well, what a lot of people are saying, just like when he was out being friendly with Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Clinton, and all of them, Trump and stuff like that, you ask for favors. And there is this it is a conspiracy until it's proven true, but people are saying that he would essentially be the connection. The reason this guy made so much money and no one knew anything about him, he was like a mystery, but has so much power, is because he was like the plug. Like, hey, I have this jet, by the way, and if I didn't mention it, on top of having an island where people can do their dirty, had the Lolita Express, meaning a plane that he would have young girls be brought in under possibly the lie, by the way, girls from all over the world saying, hey, I know, remember the guy from, that I just mentioned, the guy from Victoria's Secret, right? I'm like BFS with this guy. So because I'm BFS with him, with Les Wexner, you can be a model. He did that. He would say like, yeah, I'm actually a scout for Victoria's Secret. So a lot of the stuff actually connects very well. That's why I have a private plane, because I'm in charge of bringing young women that want to be models for Victoria's Secret, right? I'm very well connected. Let's go get on this plane. And then shit would happen while in air. Pilots would say that, came out and said that, yeah, like we never saw because we're piloting. But yeah, shit would happen back there. Like weird shit would happen. You can just hear noises and stuff like that. Other girls that came out and said, yeah, it was like he could not go a few hours without having sex. Like that's the kind of man he was, right? And then he would bring him out, and that's the theory, that he would bring him out to these big guys, CEOs, tech giants, and either in the air or come over to my island or where do you want them? It was the plug. And for many years, he would attend these conferences where they're, talking about tech, all on the same table, and they're like, what do you think happens? People will say like, yeah, that's where basically the negotiations happen while the conference was happening. But all these big guys can say like, hey, I was there for the conference. Yeah, I saw the guy. Okay. All right. Well, sure. That could be one side of the story. But like these other people that have been formally accused, and they've said like, yeah, we use a lot of different, venues to do our negotiations. And again, that's, people are wondering. So how far does this go? What other people are going to come out of the woodwork very dirty, right? It's hard to believe, right? That a lot of people idolize, like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, that these guys could possibly be tied further than just a picture with someone that now is clearly known and has been formally charged with atrocious, disgusting acts against children. And your brain doesn't just want it, just no. Right? You just don't want to. But this is not over yet. Why? Because Ghislaine has been arrested. And now Ghislaine is being protected. Now, there's other conspiracies like, dude, they're going to come out and say she got COVID and she died. Watch. Which, now that it's out there and it's been making the rounds, I hope that it's like, oh, crap, we can't use that one. Can she hang herself? Dude, that's what Epstein did. Okay, fine. We lost her. Dude, she's not El Chapo. Like, no. Like, we need to keep her alive, right? And now there's a war in the government to keep her going, moving around. She's being watched, unlike Epstein, who, by the way, if you haven't seen the picture, actually put it here somewhere. He was given so much clothes. It was insane. Like, you look at that picture where allegedly that was his room. You don't know if that's his room or the prison's laundry room. That's how much clothes he was given, right? It's like, here, if you cannot either escape or hang yourself, pick one, right? And he chose to hang himself. And that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, dude, this guy, broken jaw. They brought the brother brought another person, another expert to do an autopsy, a very well-known, I guess, I don't know what their title is, but the guys that do the autopsy. And they're like, yeah, this, he had a particular bone that was broken that it would be extremely rare for that to happen if you're going to hang yourself, right? The bruising and all that stuff. So, there's definitely, these two experts are saying, the one that was done by the state and then the one the brother brought, they're like, yeah, they're going at it because they're like, no, you're lying. Like, he didn't just hang himself. This is not just a cut and dry. This guy was killed. He was strangled, right? And then maybe hung. Who knows? The couple days before he does that whole will thing, he was on, again, suicide watch because he said he was going to kill himself. But people are saying, no, they told him you're going to die. He had a cop a guy that was in his cell that was a cop that was also charged for something. And then they moved him. And he's like, yeah, they usually don't do things like that as a cop and as an inmate. That never happens. But they moved me and they left him by himself. The two guards that were watching him both fell asleep because they were so overworked. Granted, that prison has a really bad rep for being poorly handled and managed. But still, right? Both of the guys fall asleep. And then the cameras, darn it, those also weren't working when he died. Damn it. It was like everything that you would want to happen, happened, but all natural, all an accident, everything, right? So that's when a lot of people are saying, like, no, this guy, they killed him. Now, there's also the conspiracy that's like, no, he paid to be quote unquote killed because all these people are coming out with pictures and that the ear doesn't look like the ear that you have on another picture when he was alive. That's a stretch for me. And yes, I would be crazy if that would be the case. If it was like, aha, I'm right here. There's even a picture of a supposed aerial shot of his island where there's a guy that bought it recently who is from some country in the Middle East that's like, oh, look, this is the new identity he has. I think that's much more of a stretch than the fact that he was killed. And that would be my belief, if I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think he killed himself. Now, if you remove all conspiracy and you're like, okay, fine, let's remove every ounce of conspiracy from this. He killed himself. Is it possible? Sure. There's no way this guy was going to get out of this now. This thing, he dug himself into a really, really deep hole. There were way too many eyes. It wasn't just now the state of Florida kind of saying, like, here you go, here's your free card, get out of jail card, which he got. This went deeper now. It was too loud now. Too many ears were involved. And can you say, dude, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he say, I'm fucked? On top of that, when they put me in Gen Pop, what are they going to do to me? I'm done. Like, fuck it. I'm going to end it. And maybe they made it easy for him. Again, because he saw that clothes in the image. So, yeah, that could be a possibility. Sure. The broken jaw that they say, or one of the broken bones, That's when you start thinking, right? All these names that I just mentioned, some of these people, while they haven't been formally, prosecuted, why wouldn't, let's be honest, why wouldn't Bill Clinton want him dead, or Trump, or anybody else? Even though Trump has said, hey, I had a follow with him a long time ago, and I told you guys, and by the way, Trump was actually on record, and he said this. Trump said, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. Much as I do. Don't do the voice? Okay, fine. My wife hates when I do the voice. He likes beautiful women as much as I do. Ready? And many of them are on the younger side. This is Donald J. Trump on record saying, I know the guy for 15 years and the guy likes women like I do. Right? Because he's like, but I like him more. Mine are better, but he likes him on the younger side. So can you say, dude, Trump is basically saying like, we both like women. There's even a video of like them checking out women, which is not a big deal. Whatever. You see guys do that shit all the time. Is it girls? Some argue with yes, some argue with no. But okay. The shitty part is he's like, he likes him on the younger side. That should have been like a hello and no follow up. Like, let's stop there. Like young, are you talking about like 20? Or like -5 years? No, right? No follow up because the reporter was like, okay, let's move on to other important shit. Even though you just said he likes him on the younger side. But okay. So why wouldn't someone like that want him dead? I ask again. Bill Clinton, I mean, there's plenty to say about that guy. He was an ex-president. You don't think he still has a lot of connections? You don't think any of the people that I just mentioned right now, any of them, have a lot of connections? Come on, man. Come on. By the way, if you don't believe me that even Jeff Bezos is somehow implicated in this, there's a painting that Maria did, which for some time went viral. And in this painting that she did, she adds Jeff Bezos at the bottom. It's kind of like a little hell. Right? I'll put it right now, right? So I'll put a little hell. And he's down there. There's nothing outright about Jeff Bezos other than Ghislaine would often do these retreats with Jeff Bezos. I guess Jeff Bezos has like fucking like kumbaya campfires that he does, like some kind of outing camping shit, and he would have Ghislaine at these events. So there and all, there's a picture of Ghislaine and Elon Musk. And again, the thing goes on and on. Jeffrey Epstein and, Bill Gates, they would have a lot of conventions. I think a lot of times what happens is that we don't want to believe a lot of this, right? We don't want to believe that as they're dubbing them, Geppetto and Pinocchio were actually the evil villains in the story. That were actually the people that we should fear the most. And when you have all these other individuals attached to them or affiliated to them somehow, it is going to be very difficult to be able to separate who were just people that were happened to be there that day and took a picture with the guy, or people that were there taking a picture with the guy because they were making negotiations about whatever the hell they were doing negotiations about. Right? So, I don't know. I guess to close out the video, do I think that any of these individuals are sick in the fucking mind and do shit like that? Yeah. Who? I don't know. That's a needle in the haystack from my point of view, right? I'm not a detective. Do I believe that people that have money like that do weird shit? Yeah. I've heard a lot of different theories that people, as they get more and more money, they get more and more, their word, right? Their favorite word, eccentric. And that usually means like, hey, if I can buy like one cool car, exotic car, I'm going to buy another 5 and 6 and 7. And then somehow, you have people that will even rap about it, that will sing about it, that will just show them off on MTV Cribs saying, yeah, I don't even know why I have all those like 12 cars over there. It's my money, so I just buy shit. So with that thought process, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they attract a young 30-year-old? And it's like, 30 is cool, but 25 is better. And then just go down that rabbit hole. until they find themselves, hey, Jeffrey. And Jeffrey's like, hey, you like kids? Yeah. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. This video is long enough, but at the end of the day, now you know. Yes, I do believe that Jeffrey did do the shit he did. Yes, I do believe there's going to be a lot more people that are going to come out and are going to be associated in a ways that we are probably not going to like with Jeffrey, big names. Yes, I believe that he was murdered. I don't believe he killed himself. And no, I don't believe he's alive. I really don't. If he comes out and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't believe so. I think they did what they needed to do with him. And they're like, we got him. But now they have to worry about Ghislaine. Because Ghislaine, if it's true, if he has been Geppetto, then she can sing a lot louder than Jeffrey probably ever could. So, all right, guys. That's it for today. Make sure you like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate you listening. And until next time, see ya.